Good evening, everybody, and welcome again to High Live, coming live, obviously, of course, as always, on a Monday night from HighCom HQ. We have a very special guest with us this evening, Marjorie, who is going to talk about her adventures all around the world, lots of different countries that she has travelled to, especially around 2013, 2014, is that right? Okay, and she's going to give us some useful advice, some travel advice, how to prepare your trips, and obviously what to look out for while you're on the trips. And we're going to go through some of her highlights and some of her most memorable experiences.
Yes.
So on with the show. So a couple of photos for the group,
exactly
as usual. Okay, so first of all. Everybody, all foreigners that come to Shanghai and obviously and to China, they all have their own little story to tell as to how they ended up here. Mm-hmm. Some end up here completely by accident, by chance, but whereas other people, it's part of a very long-term project where they plan for a few years and finally make it here. But so how about you, Marjo? How did you end up in China?
Well, first of all, thank you, Robert. Thank you, Steph. Very nice to be with you guys. So it was not an accident, actually.
Right.
China dates back to when I was 15 years old and I started studying Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
So back in the day, it's not really like a projection of your future. It's just have a choice between Russian, Chinese, and Spanish. So I was like, Russian is too hard, Spanish is too easy. I picked in the middle, the
right.
Chinese.
Okay.
And I got the chance to travel to China in 1996, to Hong Kong and Beijing, 1 month before the retrocession of Hong Kong to the UK.
Yeah.
So that was quite an adventure, riding the 36-hour train back to Beijing.
Wow.
And that was a highlight.
Because I can imagine things have changed a little bit
yes,
since
they have.
then.
And Beijing was just all bikes and noises, and yes, that was the Beijing I remember. Traveled again there in 1999, and it kind of got me to continue studying Chinese, and then I got into a business school, but eventually I wanted to kind of get back here. I traveled to Taiwan for a university exchange in 2005, which was kind of the experience of 6 months proper experience in Chinese Taiwanese culture, not to get into the political struggle, but really to get into that feeling, and I loved it. So when I came back to finish my studies, I started looking for a job in Taiwan or China, and I ended up in Shanghai.
Great. Okay. So what year was that? You ended up in Shanghai?
2006.
Okay.
Yes.
So most of the time since then you've been here.
Yes.
Right,
that's yeah.
I mean,
all the time in Shanghai.
Okay,
yeah.
so even since say 2006, you must have seen some massive changes between then and now. I mean, I arrived in beginning of 2013, and it was even then it was different from what it is like now. It's quite a. I'd say that I'd say the pollution's improved, and the kind of the whole neighbourhoods have just disappeared and have just been replaced by shiny new shopping malls and big office blocks, and the rate of change is incredible. And how many metro lines were in Shanghai in 2006?
It's a good question. I bought an electrical bike right after I arrived, so I don't remember. Probably 4 or 5?
Maybe 4 or 5, yeah, exactly, yeah. Because I think they built the first one in like 95, I think. It was the first ever metro in Shanghai, and then now look at it, it's like hundreds and hundreds of stations.
In 2006 we had 4.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
It's the beautiful thing about being here.
Yeah.
Not a fast-paced train.
Things just don't stop moving, and when you do go back to your hometown or Europe, it's kind of nothing's really changed a great deal, but there we go. And moving on to your the main period during which you were doing a lot of travelling. So that was around sort of 2013. Is that right?
Yeah.
So what gave you the idea? Because obviously you at that time you already had a lot of experience in Shanghai, Beijing, Hong Kong, Taiwan. But what gave you the idea to broaden that travel experience even further by going to even a few more countries?
Well, actually, that's a perfect transition from what you just said, like the being in a very fast pace all the time. And I was working in a French group as a buyer and a sourcing manager, so I was traveling a lot, and I loved it. And lucky me, I also got to travel in Asia and so forth. But at some point, this idea of like having a proper break to travel around the world was kind of a dream project, as it I think starts all the time. Not really concrete, but kind of a projection of it would be nice. And I loved my job, but after a while, it was almost 8 years, and you realize that it's good as well to take some time for yourself, and
Sure.
And just to kind of take a step back. And it was a miracle that we happened with my best friend, who we were talking with to do the trip, that our timing just worked out, and it was a miracle, because she left to Singapore and I was like, okay, so it's
So she was in a similar frame of mind to you, and she was looking to take a step back and away from the...
Absolutely, and she's she's like my little sister, so it was just the perfect person to do it with. But aligning with work opportunity, she had an opportunity in Singapore, she left. I was like, okay, this is done, so maybe I consider doing it myself. But and then we kind of called one day, had a call one day, and we were just like, let's resign at the same time. Because that starts with resigning. And that's when it becomes very much concrete. I mean, you can't sort of take a year off traveling without well, you can actually. I looked into the sabbatical, which is a true opportunity.
Yeah, no, people say if you're if you're with a...
But in China, it's not. It was not an option.
No.
And well, the company I was working with, I reached out to the big boss and I explained him about the project. He was very excited about it, and he said, well, whatever, whenever you come back, if you want to come back, you're welcome. So that was great. Although it was also some more exploration I wanted to do. So the first thing that came to mind was that I'm gonna go back to the same company, but it was great to have an open door, and I'll come back to that. So yes, and after that, it's just like everything you've read about world travel. I had a very good friend. He was very important to me back then because he traveled himself, and he gave me a lot of really true advices about how to make it right. And there's no one recipe at the end of the day, but every world tour is different, and it was just like amazing to just get into it concretely, and it's quite fast when you set your mind to it. It's fast.
And this was a tour that you pretty much organised on your own. It wasn't kind of connected with any large tourist company or anything like that, because when some people when they go on world tours, especially people when they retire, for example, they'll just find a travel agent and they'll just have someone just organise everything for them, and they'll go on a cruise and they'll have all their hotels booked up. But this was proper, more like backpacking rather than...
that was proper backpacking.
I see.
And that
this
was
is just totally do it yourself.
Total freedom. And I was very much into that kind of traveling before. So and there's always solutions, like local solutions. Even if you don't take a world tour operator, when you get into somewhere and you want to have even you're in Shanghai and you want to have a tour, in Shanghai you always find local actors or whatever to do it for you. So we were and because we had experience traveling, we were very confident in whatever we were going to find. But the idea was really so we started with a big world map like this. I can actually put it.
We can go on.
If my mouse is actually working. Voila. So with my friend, we just put it out on the wall. And we just had a bucket list of all the dream places we wanted to go.
So you...
And the bucket list is very important.
Got the map out in front of you.
And thank God we were in line with a lot of the bucket list locations. So we kind of worked it out, and actually for South America, which was a big part of our trip and the first part of our trip, we decided to take a trip like the in-flight and the outbound flight. And in the middle, we were just like going with the flow. So that's what we did basically. We looked at the world tour tickets, which by then were very popular, but there's a lot of actually conditions. You can only go one way. So for example, if you come from China, let's say China here, you travel to Brazil, and if you want to come back to Peru, you can't, because you have to go only in one direction, so that limits it.
Right.
And you always.
So that's the rule, is it? You have to keep moving in one direction.
Forward, absolutely.
I see.
And you only have access to some airplanes, agencies, not all of them. And God knows, like in South America, you must have like 100 of different, local flight companies. So we wanted, and at the end of the day, the budget-wise, I think it was even better. So voilà. So we rolled out our bucket list. So it started with the Galapagos, and then all the places we wanted to go. My friend wanted to do a Vipassana, and I wanted to do a big trek. So Nepal was on the list. And just like wanted to do Machu Picchu, obviously. And so we then just booked the first sets of flights. So that's when it becomes like real.
Sure.
We actually had stopovers in Los Angeles, Miami, which was quite fun.
I see. So the orange ones are just escale for us stopovers, I guess.
The orange ones were escales, and then back to our first destination. And the very important thing as well, traveling together. So we were set on traveling 4 months together, and then see what was going to happen. So I started with my target of 4 months, and then I extended it to 7 months, and then 9 months, and then 12 months. But that was perfect. And it's very important to have rules when you travel with someone, even if she's dearest to your heart. Or I've seen many couples who broke out on a trip, because you need also to have rules on how you want, what are your expectations of the trip, and if you are in the same energy of just I want to enjoy life and follow whatever my universe sends me, or if someone talks to me about a great place, then I want to go there, so we have to be on the same understanding, and having some days away from each other. Like, okay, today you just, do your thing, and I go read on the beach, and you go explore whatever.
Yeah.
And that's what made the trip a success for
I see,
both
so
of
you
us as
sort of
well.
gave each other a little bit of space. And
Absolutely. You need to. So that was important. My friend Gerhard, my German friend, who actually did one world tour with his girlfriend back in the day, didn't work out because he said I was always one step ahead. Like whenever I was arriving in the country, he was exploring all the Stan country, which is a great trip, and he had a red thread which were design, so they were going to schools to teach design classes. But he said every time I was arriving somewhere, I was already thinking like next step, where do we go next, and what do we do next, and he was never in the moment.
He was never enjoying. He was always wondering about the next train that he had to catch, or he wasn't actually taking in the actual experience. The whole point of going on a world tour, I guess.
Yeah, and it's easier said than done actually, because we're very used to having holidays, like short duration holidays. So you want to make the best of it.
Yeah.
But when you have the time, then it's not wasting time. It's just. So you have to change a bit the mindset, and it takes time. It took me, I think, 2 months before I really kind of let go, of the, I don't do anything today. That's all right. I don't do anything today.
Yeah.
And just being in the present makes you more open as well to surprises and recommendations and opportunities. And so that was very key to me, this suggestion. And I actually gave the suggestion to all the people I was meeting on the tour, because I met people who were like always on the go, on the move. And I was like, listen, this is one opportunity, once in a lifetime opportunity. So yes, there's no wasting time at that level.
Do you think people tend to they have this idea of a world tour in their head, and they just have to go at all costs? They just have to go to as many places as possible, just to say, come back and say, like, oh yeah, I've been there, I've been here, I've been there. I was there for like 20 minutes or whatever, but I still went there, that kind of thing. But,
well,
and then I guess that differs from someone that wants to take in the experience a bit more.
So different people, different expectations, and I don't want to judge like people who just want to go to as many places as possible because that's what they want. That's fine.
Sure.
But that was not what I wanted to do, and.
But it is something you need to make clear with your travelling partner at the beginning.
Absolutely,
sure.
Absolutely. Otherwise, so that was key, and the budget as well was key.
Sure.
So my budget was 15,000 euros.
Okay.
And actually, I stopped at 15,000 euros. So that was perfect. That was 1 year.
Okay. Well, so
I spent.
You managed your budget impeccably then.
Yeah, but I spent 50% of the budget after 4 months. And I was like.
I see. Right. Yeah.
So. Actually, South America, we went to a lot of different places, and the big part of the budget goes into the air tickets, the trains, the transportation.
Well, sure. Really?
Moving around.
Yeah.
Moving around costs money.
Yeah.
When I was traveling to Asia, so I was by myself then, and I stayed like a month or 2 months in each country. So you don't have like international connections, flights or whatever.
Sure.
So the budget just
drops down. Yeah.
So I managed to balance it between these two regions.
If you're just looking for a basic place to put your head down,
then of course you don't stay at Hilton or you just
you
stay at the
can
local
get that for
guest
next to
house.
nothing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's the budget was here obviously. And yes, and then off to Decathlon to buy stuff and just make it happen.
Sure. And do you think when people, obviously the people that you're travelling with, their budgets will need to be similar to yours as well? I mean, were there any kind of discussions as to the kind of hotels you should be staying in, the kind of restaurants you should be going to? It's like, we can't keep going to restaurants like this, we're going to run out of money after a month or so. Were there those kind of disagreements or?
No, not really.
No.
We're very much because this is also important to pleasure yourself. You know, sometimes you just want to treat yourself, so you go to a nice seafood restaurant or. But globally, like I said, we were on the same understanding. So budget was not an issue. In Rio, we did the flying. How do you call it? Like not the delta paragliding, like this. Yeah, you like Superman style. You actually.
Ah no, so it's
not parapet. It's sitting.
Like the wingsuit?
Yes.
Really? You did that?
Yeah, but with someone, you know, like
with someone, yeah. I see. My God,
so that was like
that's pretty extreme.
You
know, the one where they just jump off a cliff and they've got these big wings and they just fly down.
Yeah.
That's
so you have it's not like the squirrel thing. I don't remember the name, but
because there's ones where they just wear a suit.
Yeah, but that's not this one.
Oh, it's not
that's
that one.
Not this one.
Right. Okay.
You are actually with someone, and then you have like the wings above you, and you just like Superman style fly over Rio.
C'est l'ULM ça.
Is it?
ULM is a plane, no?
No, ULM c'est
okay.
C'est ça, c'est son. You have the wing on the top. It's not parapente, hein. It's not paragliding. And you have a guy above you. And it looks like a little plane, but it's just a wing.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, these things.
And this, I mean, it's expensive, obviously.
Yeah.
But you do it, you know. And maybe you'll eat pasta for 3 days. It's okay.
And so, in terms of like booking your flights and booking your travel, was that just done kind of that wasn't kind of reserved in advance? You didn't do all of that before you left, or was it just done kind of as you went along? Say for example you're in Brazil and they say okay, well now it's time to go to another part of Brazil, or now it's time to go to Argentina. It wasn't like sitting down in the beginning saying on this date we're going to go here, on that date it wasn't so much.
No, and that's something we were clear about, because then you're just thinking of the time and you're not thinking of so we booked the in-flight in Guayaquil and then Galapagos.
Yeah.
And we had the outbound flight. So between the two, we were totally free. And then, so the big flights, because this one was expensive, like the most expensive of our trip, but not so expensive at the end of the day. And Canada, France one, this one I booked it a bit in advance as well. but between the two flights you had 5 months, you know, so it was very, very, very open. And then in Asia, you know, even the local flights, it's very, you book it as you go, basically. It's not like huge impact financially to book the flights on the go. So the big ones, yes, a bit in advance, and the local ones on the go.
Okay, and speaking of the local ones, was it easy to book them? Was it quite a straightforward process? You just go? Were you online the whole time, or?
Yeah, I had my little, because I had my blog, and that was.
Oh, I see. Right.
So
sure.
I had my little, you know, screen and my keyboard. So internet was always accessible. You have Skyscanner, and you have the local agencies. So we
and
never.
it was all accessible online. You just paid online and got your booking references, and that was
we
it.
We had cash. We had some dollars for leaving, some hidden money. Like
sure.
That's something as well to consider. We were traveling as two women, so we were also looking at the places that were. But even South America, we got lucky. I have to say, we didn't encounter any
problems at all. Any kind of worrying moments, or everything was all good?
It was all good. Like we had some code between the two of us. Like when we were meeting people and we were not really feeling it. What was the code? I think it was something related to food. Like, let's have choucroute tonight, or really something stupid.
Something like
and it happened twice actually. When we were in Uruguay and the car broke down and the guy came over and he invited us like to a party in the evening and stuff, and we just like, let's have choucroute tonight. Okay. We just like, and the rule was not like, we just accepted the other one, you know, feelings, and we're not going.
Right,
so,
I see.
Yes, you have kind of the SOS word. Otherwise, La Paz was a bit challenging. La Paz,
in Bolivia?
you don't go. Yeah, in Bolivia, you don't go out at night by yourself.
Right.
You run home. But otherwise, no. I mean, see, maybe safety-wise, like when you travel, when you do treks in Nepal, for example, you have a lot of safety issues. And actually, the highest the half threat is people taking selfie on like super short trails and falling over.
Yeah.
So before you go, they always like be careful when
I've heard
take
about a
selfies
few
and stuff.
accidents.
Every time.
People
it's
take.
Crazy.
Yeah, there's some wind up there.
Yeah.
Wind or
Just
just
goes
people
right up
going
to the
by
top of a
because the
cliff.
angle of the selfie is not good and they just fall off. Like the Darwin Awards, there's plenty of them. Everywhere. So this is like a shame, but that happens a lot.
Yeah.
And no, I almost got killed by a goat in Bolivia.
Sherman?
Actually.
A goat?
Yeah, no, not a cow.
Ah, sorry,
cow.
I thought you said goat. Sherman!
I got scared for my life this time.
What did you do to this poor
I
thing?
had nothing. It was Isla del Sol in Peru.
Okay.
It was not Bolivia, it was the Peruvian side. It's amazing, this island. You just like high altitude, you're completely remote. I was by myself and I was just, the landscapes were amazing, and I was just walking like 6 hours per day, you know, with my book. I was reading a book about the Incas and the Spaniards. And I wasn't meeting a lot of people except like a family from my Lautia, actually in France, like from Lorraine, in the small guest house I was in, so that was very fun. And it was like, I think 5 p.m. or something, and I was walking, so it's very mountainous. The island is just like mountains, and so you go from 4,000 to 3,000, your height is like this.
It's pretty high.
It's pretty high. And the old farmers, you know, like very local people, you don't have much tourists by the time I was there. And then, so I was walking on this little trail, and I see coming my way a cow, and with the little cow behind it. And I was like, oh, nice. And I take a picture of it. You know, nicely, nice cow.
Did you ask before?
I don't know. And then the cow actually saw me and ran to me. Like, actually, she had the horns.
Were you wearing red or something?
I was just like, fine. And she came to me and she just like
charged you?
Charged
me.
in
English as well?
Yeah, charged towards you, yeah.
Yeah, she charged toward me, and actually her horns came right here.
You're kidding.
And this voice, this kind of the scream came out of my mouth. I didn't think I was capable of that type of scream, and I got pulled up, and I was like, I was just like hitting the cow, and she just let me go at some point, and I fell, and I thought the cow was just scared because the little one was behind it, so she didn't really know me. And I stayed like this for 10 minutes, and I was just trying to. In my head was, headlines in the local newspaper that my parents were gonna read a week after, like a French tourist being like charged and killed by a cow in the middle of nowhere in Peru, and I was like.
Because you were on your own, you were traveling on your own at this time.
Yeah, and I was like really by myself. Like there was nobody. It was dawn, so nobody was gonna come that way anymore. Yeah. And that was so that.
So the two arms got actually.
Yeah.
So you got really lucky, huh?
I got very.
Just either side.
So I got very lucky, and so the next day when I saw a cow, I was like, oh!
Yeah, tu m'étonnes.
And the little farmer with the cow was like, don't be scared, it's just a cow. Just like, I have my history with cows, so.
So I guess that was the sort of scariest experience for the whole year, right?
When you think about it, it's okay. Like it's not the scariest one you can have.
So you don't eat steak anymore, or you eat more steak as a revenge?
You know what? Huh? This may be her.
Especially from Peru.
Absolutely.
Very nice meat.
We'll talk about the food a little bit later.
We have a question for the audience from the audience. If
go for it.
So you are. Well, there's many questions. I'm gonna read one. Galapagos, did you dive over there?
Okay, maybe we can jump.
Or if it's after, we can come back. If it's already lined up in your slide, we can come back.
I think it's lined up to the slide.
Okay.
Can we go to the next
slide? We can move through the slides now. How are we doing?
So I think just on finishing with that one, the idea was just like traveling from China, then to South America here. So you asked me how many countries in total. That was 11 countries. So we arrived we stayed 3 weeks in the Galapagos. I'm going to come back to that.
So these six and these six.
And then from the Galapagos to Ecuador, we're like, let's go to the Amazon. Yeah, Amazon. So we stayed a week in the Amazon, and then we came back to Quito, and from there we went to Peru. In Quito, we took some Spanish classes because I was very frustrated not to talk Spanish. So we did like the old school way, we stayed in a
classroom,
local family, 6 hours Spanish teaching per day, and then the rest of the day with the family. And so that was very, very nice, and that saved me during that trip. Then Peru. From Peru, I kept going to Bolivia. My friend got sick in Peru actually, quite badly. So she almost died there actually, and she flew to Uruguay.
When you say nothing happened, it's okay.
Everybody
almost died, but
she had a Namibia, the bad bacteria, food bacteria.
Food poisoning.
Yeah, but it comes from because she was eating a lot of salads and stuff. And one rule when you travel to countries you're not really sure of hygienic standards, especially if you're not from the same place, is to avoid raw stuff like
non-cook and
salad and tomatoes and things like this.
Yeah.
And yes, it was very warm, but yes, you have to be careful. So that's what she got, and she had altitude sickness on top of it because we were in Quito at 4,300 on volcano. And she was she got really bad. And in Cusco, thank God, we got very nice clinic, and because she's doing Reiki, so she was Reikiing herself. And I'm like, that's not working out anymore. Let's take your temperature and go to the doctor. And she got really, really well treated. And it's good when you travel with someone, in that case, to have someone who can support all the insurance thing, the family connections, and all that stuff. So that was great that we were together. And she was very weak after, so she went to Uruguay for 3 weeks, stayed in a family Airbnb thing, and just recovered. Yeah. And I joined her after. So I went to Bolivia by myself, and then the cellar of Uyuni, obviously. Then to Argentina, the north of Argentina, in Salta, Salta to Uruguay, and then Uruguay to Buenos Aires. So we stayed in Uruguay together. Buenos Aires, Iguazu Falls, both sides, very important, Argentina and Brazil. then Salvador de Bahia, and Rio de Janeiro. That was kind of the end of the trip in South America. And then Canada, France, because France was also part of the tour. So that we did the whole round. And then Asia, so here I was by myself to Sri Lanka. I joined my friend again for 2 weeks in Malaysia. And then she went to do her Vipassana, and I did my own Vipassana in Nepal for 2 months. I had a trek for 28 days. And after Nepal, Laos, and from Laos up to China, to the Sichuan area.
You didn't put Nepal here?
Oh yes, oh la la. I forgot Nepal. Yeah, Nepal is a big one. So that's 12
So it's 12 countries.
12
countries.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the whole itinerary.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, well let's
back to Galapagos then.
So let's move to the.
We'll come back on the photo.
Okay, so in answer to the question that we had, it was, what was it about?
The
Did you dive?
You dive.
Did you dive?
So you
obviously.
Definitely dive in the Galapagos. It's one of the most famous diving places in the whole world. It's a natural reserve. So basically, 98% of the territory is being preserved. So it's it's a paradise. Like what Darwin was saying is actually true. And you can dive, but I'm not diving personally because I have asthma, but the snorkeling, actually, you can do amazing snorkeling as well. So divers might have a blast there, but snorkelers have a blast there too. And it's good because the diving is actually a budget as well. And to get to the best spots, and that's what the Galapagos are famous for, you need to go on cruises. And these cruises, they go to some places where only cruises are allowed to go. And that's where the big money comes from, basically. I don't think we made a lot of money for them then. Although you pay $100 when you get there, you give them for the natural park fee. But then afterwards, we left very locally in local guest houses, ate local food. We cooked our own food, and we were doing like snorkeling trips with local traveling agencies. And yes, the Galapagos was definitely a highlight. So this was snorkeling. And there's animals everywhere, like these iguanas. You're on the beach and you have these guys just getting tanned next to you. These ones, I wrote a whole thing about this one because that's a sea lion.
Sea lion.
And they are everywhere. This was a bench, and they just go everywhere. Like you go on the beach and you have like 3 steps to get into the water, and there are 3 of them like here, and they're sleeping. They have an amazing life.
We have a sea lion here too. I'm a sea lion. Little bit furry one.
And when they're adult, they can weigh up to 300 kilos and do 2 meters long.
But look for the bench. Huh?
And you don't really want to disturb them because they're very aggressive.
Oh, right.
And they spit and they smell very, very bad. So I actually got chased by one.
What do you do with animals, man?
I didn't do anything. I was just taking a picture.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't have it consent. Sorry, sea lion. And it chased me. It's very, when you on the ground, it's very. It looks stupid, really. But swimming with these guys is very scary because they swim like fishes.
Yeah.
And but I had a good experience swimming with them.
I thought you swam. You swam with those
they're
guys?
everywhere.
Hey, they're everywhere anyway.
And so you have like sea lions
what
coming.
What do they eat? Small fishes?
Yes, fishes only.
So they won't attack you for no reason? I mean,
no.
Okay.
But they are quite respected and you don't mess with them.
Oh, I guess. 300 kilo, no?
Yeah,
you don't mess with them, huh?
And so they just eat and then they sleep like maybe 60% of the day, which is a nice life.
Good life.
25 years life expectancy. So that was fun.
So cool.
Oh yeah, and this is actually, when we talk about encounters, I have to talk about this one. This lady was with me in high school, and I met her like totally randomly in the port of San Cristobal, and it was incredible. Like I didn't recognize her at first, and I don't know. When it was like high school was 20 years, yeah,
10 years ago.
Yeah, 10 years. And she spoke, and then I recognized a bit her voice, and I went to her and I was like, Morgan! And she didn't recognize me, and then we reconnected, and we spent like 3 hours in a bar, and she's actually we used to learn Chinese together in the same school, and she's a captain. Actually, she was very creative and drawing and stuff, but she did a lot of shitty jobs. And then one day she was like, I'm gonna get back to my passion for boats. So she took classes to become a captain, and she actually got an opportunity from a Facebook like page or whatever to be a co-captain of the biggest ship she's ever co-captain, basically 30 meters long, from a couple of super rich Danish guys. And so she was in the Galapagos going to Polynesia for a 45-day trip, and that was just incredible. So yeah, these kinds of content that you're making. So yes, Galapagos was a highlight, great spot for diving.
Great. Did anyone else?
The seal look like Stefan. I'm not gonna read this comment. With the mustache. We had another question about the food. What would have been the strangest food? Local food. It's not a question.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can go straight to the top 3 culinary experiences. We can do the bottom 3 as well. That might be more interesting, maybe.
Don't tell me the seal.
Or strangest. The question was strangest one, wasn't it?
Well, you know, I was already living in China for 8 years back then, so I have to say my weirdest experiences have not been during the World Tour. I'm sorry to disappoint.
I see.
Oh yeah, no. In
you
Peru,
can talk about sort of 2 or 3
Peru,
that
you know, they're eating
you remember.
they're having these big festivals. I was in Peru, in Cusco, during the time of the like celebration around the...
Well, it's got a really good reputation in general, isn't it, around the world, Peruvian food.
It depends locally. Like you have this kind of picture of nice Peruvian food that you will eat at
in Paris or whatever.
No, we have a good Peruvian here.
I've been there. I can't remember the name.
Nice ceviche.
Ceviche. Is it the one near Hongshanlu?
Kolka.
Okay, yeah.
And what I've seen there is not Kolka style.
No.
Like you have this big plate of raw food and they're eating hamsters. Hamsters?
Yeah. I say. Okay.
Yeah.
So not the same. Hamsters, yeah.
Hamsters?
Cochon d'Inde?
Cochon d'Inde.
Yeah, guinea pig.
Whatever. Those little stuff that we don't eat.
Voilà.
A rodent. Basically.
So you see them like on the markets and you see like things that are really very strangely identified. I can show you a picture. It's a very famous thing that I didn't try because I was going to.
I was going to ask if you tried it, but
the thing is, I was starting my trek for Machu Picchu the next day. So it's like,
I don't want to get sick, man.
Risk management.
Absolutely.
So no, that was
raw food like that. Thank you very much.
They eat llamas obviously as well. They eat a lot of stuff, and the quinoa soup. Quinoa soup is very popular in Ecuador, and it's the cheapest thing you can get. Quinoa over there is the cheapest thing. It's poor people eating quinoa.
It's very healthy.
Yeah.
And here, when you think
like
about it,
the
it's
same.
super fancy.
it's middle class posh food, isn't it?
And otherwise, no, I think like Peru was quite something.
You have some good steaks then?
Yeah.
Sorry
that
to
was
remind
the
you of your
for
experience.
Argentina. That was the first thing because
Argentina
the food
and
in
Uruguay, right?
Peru and Bolivia is not good, and you're eating all the time the same.
Yeah.
And so my first step in Argentina was like steak.
Yeah.
And it was you have good
and
steak.
you weren't disappointed.
I was disappointed the second time because I just went to the first diner and ordered the first steak available, and it was like an outsole, shoe sole. But then we went to a gastronomic restaurant, and with Gina we went to a kind of a tango night,
Oh, nice.
We learned how to dance tango. So something when you travel as well that you don't think of is taking some nice things if you go out or on a date. So we didn't have any of the nice stuff. And we went out to that party where all the ladies were like princesses, and we had our hiking shoes on with some kind of like this kind of tie pants, which was So we were a bit like weird. So dancing tango with hiking boots, and after that there was this amazing shows, and there was this dinner, and we took the nice dinner thing, like the VIP dinner with open alcohol and stuff. And we were the only ones. We had our own like private rooms with our own guys serving us food and alcohol. like the shitty tourists, and all the nice princesses and princes were in the bottom having the normal dinner set, and we're like, nice. So that was a nice souvenir. Yeah. But yes, the food was really good. Brazil food is actually very good too, and very diverse. Yes.
That's very meat based as well, right?
Yes, very meat based.
Meat.
Yeah, my friend was a vegetarian. But,
I see.
So
did that cause any issues?
It's just like, this is your loss.
Yeah,
but she tried meat in
why.
Argentina actually, and she liked it.
Yeah.
And we got her very drunk in Brazil, and she actually started to eat meat again. So that works. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was the top 3 food. Yes, so we're displaying some photos now. Top 3 natural landmarks. Do you have any pictures of any amazing kind of
Well, I can.
scenery?
So I just need
where
to
you
go
were?
back to
Yeah,
one,
certainly, yeah.
because that was the Amazon part.
Oh, yeah.
That was super nice. Like, this is actually one of these times when you reconnect with nature, but like actually reconnect with nature.
Yeah, completely.
And we're sleeping. It's kind of this eco lodge, because the point of all these, it's not mass tourism. They have the local communities work out on lodges and nice like things, so that you go there, but you really kind of comply with the local rules. And that was really special. So you eat like, you sleep in wooden houses with just like a mosquito net, much too thin for whatever animals comes to your room. But anyway, we had like another lodge who had like a huge snake, not an anaconda, but closed in the shower area. And I reconciled with cockroaches, because it's massive cockroaches, but I didn't feel like killing them because I was in their environment, so I saved them. But it just makes you very humble and you are the guest, in their environment, and not the other way around. So, but I still saw some tourists coming and being afraid of bugs, which I'm like, you need to be careful. So that was great. That was the Amazon actually, and that was an experience swimming in the Amazon, because when you go with the locals on the little boats, we had a piranha. It's kind of a local custom, you fish piranha.
You fish piranha?
Yeah, but you let them go afterwards.
Got you.
It's just for the fun of showing
Got you.
piranhas and the huge teeth to you, but then afterwards you actually let them go, and some of them were also pregnant, so they're really respecting the piranhas. And some caimans as well. So when you're in the little boat and you're like, oh, can we swim here? It's like, no, piranhas. Okay. And 2 minutes after, you're like, can we swim here now? She's like, no, caimans. Ah, okay. And maybe 100 meters further, she's like, yeah, here you can swim. Okay. But we did, and nothing bad happened. So that was in the Amazon at dawn. That was really great. And this guy was our Rumbo. He looks like a bit Sylvester Stallone when he was young. His name was Nilsson, and he was our local, geo like animator, and he could like, his eyes were, I don't know. He had like,
he can spot.
Yeah, whatever.
Everything.
It's like, can you see over there like 3,000 meters? Like,
a tree. Oh yeah, a tree.
yeah. And he spotted so many stuff that we wouldn't have seen otherwise. And he had 2 kids, but he was a bit against having children, because he thought that having too many children
would destroy the environment.
Destroy the environment, and fighting as well to protect the Amazon against governmental projects to drill oil. So,
Speak about Bolsonaro.
but it was very fun, a big seductor, like charming.
Yeah, he is a charming guy.
Very fun, very fun. And this picture to finish, I love this one because that's my friend Gina. And we met a shaman. We had like an afternoon with a shaman. He explained us a lot of the local herbs, and there was this poison ivy stuff, and there was this Dutch girl who just wanted to do ayahuasca and stuff, but so he had a little ayahuasca, but that's not the way you're supposed to do ayahuasca. It's kind of a whole retreat. Mm-hmm. But she really wanted an experience, so he whipped her with poison ivy, and she seemed to enjoy the experience, but she had like a back, like terrible back afterwards, so it was all the bad energy coming out and stuff, so that was fun. Mm-hmm. And this picture really looks like she, like you could send it to a tabloid, like they come back from behind the bush and nothing happened, but I just love this picture. And he looked happy. We've never seen him smile, except on this picture. So yeah. So Amazon is is a go-to, but really conditioning yourself in the respect of nature, because this is so much reality there, and
So what's the big snake on the top there?
That's an anaconda, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, that was massive.
It's a beast. Yeah.
And I have many pictures. I had a whole post on only animals.
Right.
So, but I have to make a selection here.
Sure. Yeah. Got any more?
Yes,
Wow.
so that's the Machu Picchu.
An alpaca or a llama? No,
That's an alpaca, actually. And this thing about the Machu Picchu is you can see as many pictures as possible. It will just be magical if you get there. So that was a truly inspirational experience.
You won't. Nothing will beat actually being
and don't take the first train, because there is like the trains to go back and stuff, and usually all the tourists, they arrive very early in the morning, and then they leave with like the 2 p.m. train or whatever. But if you stay just longer, you take the last train, then you have the whole afternoon and nobody on the site. And I mean, I didn't Photoshop these pictures. There was literally nobody in the afternoon. And the lights changing throughout the day, and it's very active. I did a 4-day trek before getting there. It's not the Inca Trail, because the Inca Trail is, you have to book it like a year in advance, and it's very expensive. So you have a lot of different trails you can do, and it's very nice. But yes, at 4 o'clock you go up the stairs if you choose to, but we did. In the night, with the torch and 2,000 steps, which was then you arrive, you're tired, but thank God we had a sunny day, because then the sun actually goes through the Puerta del Sol, which is where the Inca believed the sun was coming from. So you see what the Incas were saying back then, and it is magical. So I think it's very big, and you have a lot of mountains. So you have the Machu Picchu, you have the Huayca Picchu.
It sort of the old kind of civilization, it carries on further behind, or
these are all like the constructions of the Incas. And what is incredible, and it's that there is no heritage of them. There were no writing. Everything is speculation about the Incas. So that's why it's. All the books you can read about Incas are just like interpretation of what might have been, but there's nothing to prove it. So and the Spaniards destroyed them all anyway. But they were not a civilization that used
writing.
It was all orally transmission. Yeah, but it's big, and you can hike on the mountains and stuff. And they limit the number of people. I've read, but I don't know if it's going to be active, that they will close it down to kind of renovate it as well, and to limit the number of tourists on the site. So, but yes, definitely a go-to.
And obviously Machu Picchu is like the most famous one, but are there other Inca sites as well? Around
are
Peru?
there others what?
Are there Inca sites? Are there? Machu Picchu is like the most famous one, but
it's kind of a highlight. But if you go around, like even when you do the trails, like the Andes, it was all Inca territory back then. So even when you trail back then, there were messengers, and they were all. When you see the trails and you imagine these people running to deliver mail at that stage, it's incredible. But yes, that was a lot of history in this. So that was very nice. Another natural landmarks, that was Bolivia and the Salar of Uyuni. So here it's a lot of people focus on the Salar because you can do fun stuff, perspective. But actually, for me, the best part was after the Salar. You have lagoons for forever, and you go up to 4,500 meters, and you have geysers, and you have like in a span of 5 days, you feel like you've traveled back to the to the moon and back, because the landscapes were so different. Then it's an incredible experience. And these were my crew. So I spoke Spanish a lot then. Thank you. And that was the food was not amazing. We were just so starving, so we were just eating anything.
Yeah,
And there was wine.
And
yeah,
it was
you managed to get some wine.
We did actually, we did, but it was so cold. This there were no windows. We were at 4,000 meters.
Ooh.
I've never been so cold in my life.
Yeah, I can tell they are not wearing t-shirts.
Yeah, we went to sleep like this. The worst was going to the toilets.
Oh yes.
That was a nightmare.
Yeah.
And altitude actually stimulates your you want.
So
to
you
go
pee
to
more
toilets
actually.
more.
Ah,
In
lovely.
Nepal, it was just.
You don't drink beer there. You're like,
75
no.
It was, and this was our driver, a local one. He was super sweet. You know, the lights they have is crazy. And he was eating coca. It was smelling in the car. It was terrible. And I was sitting next to him, and he was talking to me. And I was like, yeah, si, claro.
J'ai pas de question.
So, coca helps a lot. Coca helps a lot for the altitude.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, between coca and the cocaine, you have a huge
A lot
chain,
of process.
so,
Yeah,
and a lot of
it's
chemicals.
it's not refined.
But
Like,
it actually, I was because he advised me to eat it with the cacao paste inside. So I was kind of rolling my coca leaves around the cacao paste. So it's not super nice. Like the taste, it's very sour, like no sweet. But for me, it worked well, and
It's helped for the altitude.
yeah, very much. I hiked for days with the coca and not high. The kids, they do that as well. They eat coca in Bolivia and Isla del Sol, all the kids there chewing coca all day long. So yeah. So yeah, that was beautiful. That was Rio.
Ah yeah.
So we jumped to the cities, but I think one of my highlights were Rio de Janeiro, in terms of cities. Because basically you have beaches and you have the mountains and
beautiful
the
city.
national
Yeah.
park. Well, you have all the slums as well, but
Yeah.
you don't go there. There are actually tourist tours now to go there. It was like I felt very sorry for that because they were driving you to these poor. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Why? You know, like
Like
pay
you get in
to
the
see
zoo, huh?
misery.
yeah, exactly.
And,
That's
and
what
it's
is.
very so. They tell you, okay, you go, but you don't take anything, like no money, no phone, no. You know. So no, we didn't go there obviously. We heard a lot of stories like. Yes, it's not a safe city for sure, but the rule we got in Rio was because Rio is very cosmopolitan. You have Japanese people, black people, white people, every color. So you just put the Havaianas, you take a beach playa, and you're local, you know. So that was working out for us. But when we were in Salvador de Bahia, for example, which is like north of Brazil and which was a hub for slavery in the 19th century, all the people are black. So obviously, if you're white and blonde, you attract attention.
Yeah, I had trouble in Salvador de Bahia.
Yeah?
I short up my trip because
Yeah?
we got
Really?
punched and stolen one night.
Really?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Salvador, one night and after we left. And then Rio, that was okay. But Salvador.
We got lucky in Salvador. And actually,
Yes.
we went out one night, and in the bus, there were two guys, like two foreigners, tourists like us, who turned and were like, hello, ladies, and stuff. And like, do we eat chocolate? No. And they stayed with us, and they were very nice. And actually, we managed to go to a lot of places with these guys we wouldn't have gone to otherwise. And we ended up in like houses where like parties and these Brazilians, they move and all that. It was amazing. So we had a terrific party night thanks to these two guys in the bus. And yes, but yeah, Rio was a highlight. And salsa classes.
Ah.
I think I'd never had so much aching in my life before that. I don't know if it was a caipirinha or it was the
Well,
dancing.
maybe of both.
You have dance class with caipirinhas.
It's part of the deal.
Stay hydrating. Yeah. And she was beautiful, the teacher. We looked a bit weird because you need to dance. You need to move all your body, but not at the same time, not in the same direction. It's really hard. And when you see these ladies that look so natural, but actually it's really, really hard. It's a bit like pole dancing. You can't imagine how hard it is until you try it. So try it.
Yeah. I see how hard it can be, the pole dancing. Yeah. But okay. Lot of practice, I guess.
Oh, and yes, the Brazilian part, we went to that very famous spot on the beach where they say Giselle Bunchen were going in all the very nice stars and stuff. And actually, there's so many Giselle in Brazil. But they're very comfortable with their bodies, so that was fun. I just wanted to buy a normal bikini and I never found any. It's like, this is too small.
Exactly. Yeah, they have bigger size, obviously, over there.
So that's so that's more a historical landscape. This one, the rock lion in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is one of my highlight countries because the people are incredible. Like they went through hell. Like they had a civil war for 30 years. They had a tsunami. Every person I met got affected by death of a friend or whatever. Back then they had a dictator at the head of the country, and still they welcome you with a big smile. I was traveling there alone. I was invited at homes. I was walking and a guy comes out like, come to our families for dinner, and that was just incredible. So yeah, Sri Lanka is really close to my heart. And this side, the Lion Rock, it doesn't look like it, but it's actually an amazing place to go. It was the megalomaniac emperor, Kasyapa, who built it. He killed his father, expelled his brother, and then he was afraid that he would come back from his brother. So he built his whole palace on top of this 360 meter high rock, thinking he was safe. And actually, when you see this,
and he fell.
No, but can you imagine? So back in the day, there was no this. So the people they were actually walking here.
Just
and
walking up like that. My God.
And they built the whole thing. So there was like pools and there were buildings back in the day. They built the whole thing. It's just unfathomable how they did it. And obviously, a lot of people died.
There must have been.
And so he got a bit screwed because the thing is his brother came back and they just blocked the surroundings so that he couldn't get a refill for food and stuff.
Le siège.
So he capitulated after a while. But that's it's a lot of steps to go up, but it's beautiful.
Yeah. What's the view like from the top?
You have to. Yeah, I didn't put a picture on the view, but here is another mount just in front, and this is the Lion Rock. So you see also all the jungle, and here we had to be careful at the elephants because this is the last country in the world where you still have wild elephants.
Wild elephants, you see.
And I met a guy who actually got chased by an elephant.
So there's no wild elephants in India, or?
Not anymore.
No.
No. They're all domesticated apparently, but the wild, they're really free, and when the sun sets, they actually go out. And in the jungle is beautiful, and you can ride, and I loved the riding, but again, I was riding by myself. And after I met this guy who actually got chased by an elephant, and who really, he thought he was dead. He jumped behind a wall and he broke his leg in the process, but he was still alive. Then I was not feeling so reassured anymore to ride by myself in the jungle at 5 p.m. Yes, they really conquer back their territory in the night, which is interesting. So, yeah.
Elephant. But in Kenya, for example, I almost died because of an elephant in Kenya. In a car, we were chasing fight with an elephant.
The elephant was chasing the car.
Yeah. So he didn't want to move, and we were like back and forth till the time someone jumped, and the elephant stopped before us. So I was like, if you don't gear back, man. 6 tons, huh? We are all dead.
You're feeling very small
and
humble.
Man, I was so scared. And you don't want to fight, and they're super fast. If you are on feet, it's over. It's really fast. They have 4 legs.
Yeah.
But pigs.
But they're not aggressive. They're just scared for their babies and stuff. So Sri Lanka definitely is must be on your list, and that's Nepal. So that's. This trek I made actually, when my friend told me she was doing a Vipassana, I was like, that's nice, like a meditation thing. But then she said that you cannot bring food, snacks, you cannot read, you cannot write, and you only have 2 meals per day. I was like, done, I'm not doing it. So I wanted to go to Nepal anyway, and I selected I did the Annapurna tour, and I added the base camp at the end, so it was 28-day walking, and that gets you to places like walking 6-7 hours per day, you know.
Very high
no
altitude
connection.
or not
The
too
highest was 5,300, so that gets high.
Yeah.
But it was an incredible experience. I was literally high.
I guess 5,000.
And after, when you get back down, you know, it's I stayed in Pokhara, which is also one of my favorite cities, and you just like in another, you know, mindset. Like you're very hungry, but it's a beautiful mindset. You walk, like seriously. You walk 7 hours per day. Like your body needs so much food. Then the day you stop walking, a guy told me, you need to eat protein. Your body didn't understand. You stopped walking, so you need to. I was like, no, he didn't understand, obviously. So I was eating like 6-7 times per day. I was starving all the time. But that was beautiful. And this guy was my guide, my porter. You say porter in English? He was carrying my bag.
Porter? It wasn't a Sherpa, was it? No, it's more like a...
Sherpa is the community, actually, but he was
Right.
not a Sherpa.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was like a Sherpa. Let's say that we used the name Sherpa by extension, but actually I discovered back then that Sherpa was a very specific community that was very famous for the guiding thing.
Yeah.
But a lot of guides are just like local people from different
Like a
communities.
chaperone.
Chaperone, that looks a bit like...
Yes. It's a bit
Enfin,
more...
chaperon.
But it's very important. Like I didn't, I wanted to do this with someone local, and I went for an agency here. Very important because actually you are responsible of the guy as well, and there are lots of freelance guides. But then if anything happens to them, it's your responsibility.
Right.
So going through an agency, kind of. The agency is responsible for the guide. So, and that's extremely important because I heard stories as well about people who went freelance guides, and when that thing happens, you don't want to be there. So he was the second guy. They presented it to me, and when I saw him, I was like, he wasn't, 46 years old, and 9 months as a porter because as he was speaking English, he couldn't be a guide. And 3 months in the family for the farming and so forth. And he was Hindu by confession. It was amazing. He was just taking care of me like I was his daughter, you know, like.
Yeah, because 28 days only with him, basically.
That was an adventure. A lot of people ask me, how did you do? We were like a couple, you know.
Yeah, that's the point. Or best buddy, or whatever we call it.
And so in the evening, you know, because they prepare food, but the problem as well is that they serve foods first to the tourists and then they serve food to the guides. And they're very hungry as well. So to make them wait, they give them rachi, the local alcohol. And my little Dilly was not taking alcohol the whole way. So at first, you know, he got very... And I had a lady that I met, she was an angel I met during this trip, and he was kind of in love with her. So he was always on her and hugging her, and I was like, wait, it's okay. But he was coming from, you know, he was just drunk actually every night. And I think the arguments we had was about that actually. I was trying to explain to him that he had to decrease a bit the drinking. It's like, we're really a couple, right? But he was not speaking English, so it was a lot of
gesture.
Body language and gesture, but really, yeah. And every time I was like, Dil, how high is this mountain? And he was like, 7,000 something. Okay. And what about this one? 8,000 something? Oh, I was like, okay. But yes, I knew, I couldn't keep in touch unfortunately, but he made this trip incredible. He pushed me, coached me in the hard moments, you know.
I'm sure you had some hard moments after a couple of days.
And even the trekking, I mean, we did a lake, Tilicho Lake was so hard. I was really at the end of my life, and I was like, I can't keep going. There was the wind coming here, and we had 1,000-meter dénivelé, difference, and it was just like gravel roads, you know. So every time you were making a step, it felt like you were going backward a little bit.
And you don't want to twist your ankle in the middle of that, man.
No.
What the hell happened to you?
Helicopter.
Yeah.
No, the mule.
At the mule, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, so donkey or
The
llama
donkey
or whatever they have over there.
Yeah, but not the horse, because actually I discovered that the mules, so the horse plus donkey
Ah, yeah, the
couple, they are the only one who can walk like this. So when
it's very narrow, they can
It's
put
very
one
narrow,
foot in front of
yeah.
the other.
they are the only one. The horses
They cannot.
they cannot walk like this.
Yeah, but even like blisters or something like that would just
You're
be,
absolutely right, man. Blisters and things.
Let alone like twisting your ankle, but just even small things like
Yes.
just rashes or blisters or
Absolutely.
I'm sure
Like
yeah,
just-
they
just-
frottement. Because you're not used to walk 7 hours a day.
Yeah.
So at some point your body is gonna react.
Yeah,
Well, actually, I
chafing.
think I got, because I was traveling for a while already, so I was used to
Yeah.
walking. That
Yeah, yeah.
helped.
Yeah.
And I was, seriously, you're gonna find me stupid, but I was actually massaging my feet every night with coconut oil. That I took for my hair, but then as you don't wash your hair for like 15 days in a row, you
Don't waste
use
the coconut oil.
And I
Use
was,
it to rub your
I was
feet.
actually thanking my feet, you know, I was like, yeah.
You did a good job.
Keep
Yeah.
going, but seriously, because I saw
Rewarding
people,
your
like you
feet.
say, who got blisters,
I
and
know.
they have to stop walking.
And
or
you don't
back
enjoy the
problems,
trip at all, man.
because the bag is
It
too
just
heavy.
turns into an ordeal.
Yeah. And when bad things happen, I met a couple of French people. One of them actually got sick, like he had to be, and no insurance. Like the insurance was not covering helicopter, and that's a nightmare because you don't have any connection.
No,
like,
no.
So
He had
yes,
to
I
get
was very
airlifted
grateful.
out from by a helicopter then.
Yeah, but they had to take him on the mule first,
But yeah, you need to go to a spot where the helicopter
and then the
can
helicopter can come.
Ah, well, no, so
And-
you have to be really prepared for
And
those
for
kind
these
of
guys,
adventure.
no helicopter. So if anything bad happens to them, and this I found out later, that so there was a group I met. Their guide. It was very unfortunate. You have some like very. There is an area with landslides, so you're actually walking. I think like this narrow, and you have like it's very steep. You know, stone-like mountain. So if you fell or whatever, you're done. And so the guide arrived at the end, but there were still some people struggling, so he came back to help them, and there was like a rock who fell off. And he got hit, his leg, and that's when we found out that for the guy, you know, the insurance was not covering helicopter. So we all gave money so that we could pay the helicopter, but I was... that's what I said. I was very grateful because a lot of things can happen on these mountains.
Sure.
And you cut off from the world. Like I told my mom, I'm not going to be in touch for 20
But yeah, there
years.
is no 5G.
No, you don't even have
The mobile phone.
the mobile phone. So
There's no network, nothing.
no network, which makes it even more
Yeah.
special because
Yeah,
you really
sure,
cut
it's
off
how
from
You
the
don't want
world.
to see an antenna. I mean,
Nobody can
eventually
contact.
you have satellite phone, I guess, because or to call the helicopter. So
When you get to like guest house and the
I
guides
guess how
and
there is a
stuff,
disconnection.
but it depends. Like it depends as well who you travel with. He just had a local phone, so yeah. But that's making it very, very unique. And when you think that a lot of things happen outside and you're in these mountains, and yeah, it's incredible.
You come back from there. Who is the president?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Are they changed? Okay.
Absolutely. So yes, big high five on the nipple thing.
Oh.
And I wanted to finish with China because that was beautiful as well. Discovered Xishuangbanna
Ah, the Shambhala.
and the Yuanyang one. So yeah.
Cockfight.
That was in Qinghong, a cockfight, which I got into this warehouse. It was I was walking, I don't know, you just walk and then you ended in some place you don't know where. And there was this warehouse I was hearing noises from, and I went there. And there was these guys, the cockfights, and he was like gambling. So you had you have the ladies sitting on small chairs, like giving away tickets, and people getting nuts and crazy, and they saw me, but it was very, so I didn't speak. I was just watching. It's harsh though. I wrote an article about this poor.
Yeah, no, because they put
This
knife
poor
on
guy.
the, they put knife on the
Alors,
car.
they didn't.
Because I saw
But
in Indonesia
usually
they do that.
do.
Ah, it's
But they don't need fun. They just like
Yeah.
they don't want to, you can feel that the guys found this
this poor animal.
this monster. They just and there is no respect, like animal well-being is not part of the
No.
equation here.
Just a betting stuff.
And that was an experience we had never experienced before, but that was something. And yes, the guest house with the Chinese. We played games that I never really understood, like the cop, the thief, and said to be a very famous game, right? That was yeah. I lost.
The killer. When you close your eyes and
yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that was.
L'assassin, de l'assassin, I think they call it.
Yeah, and these are like snapshots of some. So basically, a big highlight of the trip was also obviously the people, because they are the one who makes the trip. And I wanted to make, so it's not exhaustive, but in my blog I basically have a category with portraits of people. And these are some of the people that I met and that made the journey incredible. Because some of them helped me, some of them just...
That was for the blog, but it's good for you to, actually, I like the picture with everybody, that's nice. Yeah.
Some of them, were just like, this guy, it was a 12-hour friendship, but he saved my life in Bolivia because I was going from Bolivia to Argentina. And Bolivia, they don't really like tourists so much. Right. And I got my bus ticket the day before, and the lady, the mamita, was like, bus. I was like, coach bus, coach bus. Okay, so I was like, and so when do I arrive in Salta? 12 hours after. Okay, cool. And I arrived in the morning at 4:30, and I see this big coach. I was like, oh cool, that's my bus and stuff. And then the bus leaves, looking at it. And seriously, it was like in a movie. Behind the bus was a super small van, like with full colors, and
that's your bus.
And I was like, oh shit, that must be mine. And so I ran after the bus, and I was like, but you forgot me. And he looks at my ticket, and he's like, no, you're this one. I was like, oh.
And on the roof, not inside.
And I get into the van. It's 5 o'clock. It's freezing, and I don't know where I'm going because the lady who sold me the ticket is nowhere to be seen. Nobody wants to talk to me. So I'm in the first row, and I look at the people entering the van, and I'm like, hola, and nobody replies. And I just hope for someone who would reply to me. And then he comes up. He looks, you see, like, he's having his banana. So I'm like, he's a tourist.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hola, and he's like, hola. I'm like, yes. Shall we meet after? Yeah, let's meet after. And he went with me all the way, so we actually stopped 3 hours before in a city, like Stephen King kind of city, which I've never heard of. We had to buy another ticket to go to another place, like crazy, and he helped me like buy the tickets. We had coffee
local,
together. He was a Chilean.
I was a Chilean, but
he was going to Mendoza, which was like hours away. Like he was going on a 3-day trip to join his wife and daughter. He had a 3-week holiday in Bolivia. And I don't know without him where I would be, seriously. Because we were arriving somewhere and you had to go to certain places and only locals know.
But nobody told to you?
And then arriving at the frontier, you had to go through the customs. And because I was with him, it was much easier. And then changing the money, not being screwed up, whatever.
Yeah.
And crossing Argentinian border, he helps me buy my last ticket, saying, not this one, because this one, not a good one. This one was like, okay.
Whatever, man.
And he directed me to this restaurant for my first stay in Argentina. And at the end I was like, can I have your email, or can we? It's like, I have no emails. I'm like, well, in that case, just thank you very much. Like, let's have a picture together. And it was just these literally these angels that you meet on your trip, and that just makes it very, very special. So thanks to all of them. This guy as well, he was alone in the airport. Have you ever been to an empty airport? This is very scary. Like 3 o'clock in the morning,
empty, probably not.
Empty. And the taxi drops me and everything is dark in the airport, and he leaves and I'm like, okay, and I'm with my little bag and entering in the airport and everything is closed, you just have like the safety lights on. And I'm like, okay, I have 3 hours to wait, awesome. And I walk past and I see like this guy sitting in the middle of the airport, and that was Amilcar, an Argentinian guy speaking French. What are the odds? He was an engineer at Siemens in Lyon. And he was waiting for 2 hours, and we just had a chat for 3 more hours, and we were just...
Oh, you feel better when you have someone to talk to in
incredible.
A big empty airport in the middle of the night.
So yes, big high fives on all these ones. And she was my little angel I met on the trip for trekking.
Great, okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. We must be near the end. I guess.
We are
Yeah.
way over the end.
We're way over. Right.
Sorry.
And you don't have battery anymore. So.
Oh, don't I? Really?
No, almost not. So it's done.
Really? Okay. How much? Must be a little bit there.
Yeah.
How many percent?
9.
9. Okay. No,
yeah.
that's only going to last a few minutes. Anyway, so closing the show then. Just one quick question before we finish would be one thing that you would have done differently.
Actually,
If you were to do it all over again, what would you change? One thing that you would maybe do so as to avoid one of the.
well, is it
less
actually
pleasant-
bad if I'm saying I wouldn't change anything?
No, absolutely not. I mean, if you
I wouldn't
change
take.
it,
I
then-
wouldn't take the picture of this car without its consent. That's for sure.
Okay.
But seriously, and that's why I'm feeling very lucky to say that. But no, I think I had the best world tour ever.
Great,
Yeah.
fantastic. That
Yeah.
sounds good. Makes me a bit jealous. Makes me feel not
Yeah.
very. Makes me feel not
But
very
that will
well
be
travelled
possible
at all.
again. That will be possible.
To be honest, I think it's not for everybody.
Mm,
You really
that
need
again,
to be,
yeah.
because you need to want it, you need to be prepared,
Yeah.
and you need to be really laid back. Yeah, I cannot do that for you.
And there's not
It's
a culture
impossible.
among.
It's not, you can do it. It's just maybe not
No,
a
but it
different
depends
style.
what you're looking for.
Yeah.
I know I will be like the German. I will be like that. I want to know where I'm going there. There is no way. I don't know where I'm going. You have to. Some people can do it.
And there's not a culture among certain countries of doing this type of thing. Like Chinese, for example, they prefer to go on a very organised group tour, and they don't necessarily, do things totally on their own. And I'm sure some do. but-
Yes, actually I've met
but-
some in Sichuanbala in
Yeah.
the youth hostel I was staying, and like backpackers like me, and
You need to be
by
laid back.
themselves, like women traveling alone. I was
Mm.
like, oh, cool.
You need to be brave as well, because those countries, I mean, 2 women, it takes guts. Organization guts, being laid back.
Mm.
And no, that's great.
Yeah, we are.
And you have to enjoy the experience, as you say. You don't go just to visit, to put that on the map. You go for the experience. So you can stay
Oh,
longer,
yeah.
you
That's
meet
true.
people, you take.
And it's hard because when you design it, you're thinking of a goal. Like everybody does road travel with a specific outcome. Like my friend who were doing design classes, another was writing a book and so I was a bit like feeling guilty at first. I was like, we need to brainstorm and I need to find my theme and stuff. And actually we went through a lot of themes. But at the end I was like, I'm just gonna enjoy myself and write. And that was, the blog was kind of the...
Yeah.
But the
Feel
blog
good.
was for the family at first. And a lot of, I had a lot of foreign people I didn't know who came on the blog and it became quite successful.
Right.
But then there was a bug in the WordPress code and it went
Because
down
of the
for
site here.
a year.
Mm.
So,
Oh.
but it's still like my diary
Mhm.
and it's actually also structuring the way you travel because I was writing every day and then writing articles and it kind of, and sometimes I was just taking writing days and yes, and that's great. That's very, like this afternoon when I was doing this PowerPoint, I was just reading some articles like, oh, I'm back again. I would do it again. That's why my blog is not, I've never concluded my blog.
Yeah, you've always left it there.
I left it open.
You see.
For the next
maybe
adventure.
you'll continue filling up again. Who knows?
Yeah, but I should, but now I don't have the time
Mm.
anymore. But I
Mm.
definitely should. We could write every day about things that happen to us here, right?
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And we can put the link of your blog on our community group so that
Sure, if
people
you'd like to see. It's in
people want to see a
French.
few more photos and read
But
a little bit more
photos
about it.
are-
I'm sure if people don't understand French, they can always put it through a translation software.
Yeah, it's
Kind of.
very, very illustrated indeed.
Just to give them an idea. Okay, great, Wiz. Yeah, it's been super interesting.
Well, thank you
Yeah,
for having
really
me. It
good.
was a
Very
blast
nice.
to just go through all this again.
Yeah,
It was
really
amazing.
good. Very nice.
Back in time travel.
You made us travel in this time of not traveling.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah,
it's,
With
it
all
is
these,
great. We travel through the picture.
yeah, to take people's minds away from all the restrictions. So there we are. So, okay, well, thanks a lot for
Thank
for
you.
tuning in, everybody, and I hope you enjoyed the show. And see you all next week.
Thank you.